think one of the critical points that Piker makes, one of the predicates of his worldview, you could argue. He says in the New York Times piece, and we can maybe put the piece on the screen, he says, quote, "I try to redirect people's anger and resentment to systemic problems because I'm a leftist, I'm a Marxist, I'm a socialist. And therefore, I believe that everything still comes back to material conditions. And that's what people's anger and resentment are born out of, deteriorating material conditions and hopelessness that is instilled upon them because they don't see a hopeful future. There's clearly an affordability crisis. You hear Mamdani, by the way, talk about that a lot. There's this notion brewing among the youth because they're never going to retire at a reasonable age. They're never going to be able to own a home. 50% of our salary is going back to the rent, right? The price of a college education has skyrocketed, and it's not even a guarantee that you will have a decent job with decent wages and benefits that your parents had." Actually, just that entire graph in this New York Times article, starting with there is clearly an affordability crisis and ending with it's not even a guarantee that you will have a decent job with decent wages and benefits that your parents had. I mean, that is basically, I can co-sign everything in that paragraph as a Christian conservative. He goes on to say, so all of that, I think, feeds into this. And what I try to do is explain to people then when all seems hopeless, that the best possible thing you could do is reach out to one another and organize your communities to be the change that you want to see in the world, to claw back some sense of autonomy. Now, the New York Times actually just had a report today that said the fraction of long-term unemployed people with a college degree has grown from about 1/5 a decade ago to about 1/3 today, according to government data compiled by two researchers at the University of Chicago. The problem has worsened over the past year or two after easing temporarily. So this question that Piker raises is in some sense about motion, about regression. Some of the resentment that is boiling in the millennial generation and Gen Z is not just related inherently to the question of material comfort, but into a change and what is interpreted as a backsliding in material conditions. So I actually want to say I agree with him on that part of the argument. But what he said up top, again, going back to, I try to redirect people's anger and resentment to systemic problems because I'm a leftist, I'm a Marxist, I'm a socialist, and therefore I believe that everything still comes back to material conditions. That is very clearly the predicate of material worldviews, and he's saying it, and I think he's expressing it pretty well there. And the reason that I just wanted to pause and kind of camp out on that point, and I know that it's a foundational pillar that is kind of the cornerstone of a lot of materialist worldviews, is actually because Charlie Kirk's arc speaks. The arc of Charlie Kirk's career is a sort of giant rebuttal to that point.